Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the new Bandai Godzilla Atomic Roar Godzilla. One of the new Godzilla figures that have now been released in retail. Spot didn't get a chance to get a lot of the Godzilla pieces. In fact, this so far is the only piece that I've picked up. They have a lot of smaller interactive build sets, kind of where you just build a city and Godzilla knocks it over. Very, very basic. And then they got a couple of the larger pieces as well. Spot ultimately just decided to go with the Atomic Roar. It does have a light up feature, which has me more excited than I think some of the other pieces that I've seen so far. But this comes to us from the folks over at Bandai. A really nice picture actually of Godzilla at the back corner. I liked the 90s Godzilla. It wasn't too bad. The one with Matthew Broderick, I think it was like late 90s, early 2000s. And of course the thing is though, it didn't really look like Godzilla. It looked like a giant T-Rex or like a modified T-Rex. I like that with at least the new upcoming Godzilla movie, it looks like Godzilla. It just looks like a meaner BA version. I think you see where I'm going there. BA version of Godzilla. So I like this design of him. We just spin around the box. There's a whole back section here of the box here. Light up atomic fire breath. Several different languages as well. Godzilla also roars. To operate it, you just lift tail, and then that operates its attack and roar feature. To certainly see more, you can head over to Bandai, both BandaiEurope.com and just straight Bandai.com as well. I am excited actually to give this a try. I know, truth be told, you can really just take the pull tab out, but the bigger enjoyment of any toy is getting it actually out of packaging and kind of just having it loose and just playing around with it. So what I am going to do is take a break. I'm going to get this really off of its card and get it all set up and ready to go. And when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Atomic Roar Godzilla. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Before we actually have a look at Godzilla's gimmick, as this one is quite heavily gimmicked, let's have a look actually at the design and just overall look of the toy. One thing that gravitated me towards this one, say over the other Godzilla pieces that I saw in the stores, was I liked the fact that it was just a large piece. That even really without it having a gimmick, if you simply remove the gimmick as a whole, the Godzilla on its own looks nice. It looks nice on a shelf. Coloring wise, though, having not seen the movie yet, I would say coloring is very basic. It's just they straight out this black kind of dark gray that they've put, and then this lighter beige in the chest tummy area there. You also see a couple of slits in Godzilla's chest. Those will be the areas where the sound will come out when the gimmick is operated. But face-wise, let's bring the camera up here. Face-wise, it's not bad. It's not a bad-looking piece. I like that at least they've put the coloring in here, and the sculpt on the head section works really, really nice. Of course, though, some visible things like visible screw hole areas are present. The other side isn't so bad. This side you can't really see really anything at all. So it depends on really which way you have him facing. But I do like the head. The back section, he still has the full spikes running all down the side of his back, or the back section of him, and all down to his tail. Now the tail has a slit where it's been added onto the piece of Godzilla. Now you can't move it though, that's the thing. It looks as if it should be able to be moved, but it cannot. It's just a part of the Godzilla toy. Also, the last final piece is the compartment where you need to change out the batteries. In this case, Godzilla takes AAA batteries and only takes 3 of them. You just unscrew this and you can change it out, but at least the batteries were included with Godzilla. I don't have to worry about changing them out. They're very well, they're likely going to be just test batteries, and they may not last very long, but they will serve the purpose that I need it for, at least to show you guys the piece itself. Articulation-wise, he has very little articulation. His arms do rotate, really just back and forth. They only move to about there, and they only move to about there. He doesn't have any head articulation. He does technically open at the mouth, but that really is only specific to the gimmick that he's going to have. And he has articulation in the legs, but the articulation in the legs rely very heavily on the gimmick that I'll show you guys in a bit. The last final thing is, you probably saw when I lifted up his head, this whole section does open, and inside is this blue piece of plastic. This section will light up at the time that the gimmick is operated on, or when the gimmick is pressed, and you'll see this in a second. So really, without gimmicks, if I cut out gimmicks altogether, I like this piece. It's not perfect. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think for Godzilla pieces, it's one of the better ones out there. It's nice and large, and if you want just a plastic rendition of Godzilla that maybe doesn't have to be super articulated, then this one is a good looking piece. In the way of his gimmick, it's slightly disappointing. It's neat, but it has disappointing aspects of it. I'll show you guys that right now, actually. You're just going to take his tail. Now, you'll see he's upright at the moment. You're going to take his tail and you're going to basically tip him up. You're going to tip him up, so this section will continue to move forward, and his legs will basically be staying where they are. When you get him to a certain point, his mouth will open, and, well, you'll see what he does. So I'm just going to take the leg, or take the tail, and move it forward, and this is his gimmick. You'll see Godzilla shoots a big fiery blast of this blue flame coming out of his mouth. The downside, though, is it stays. It doesn't go back in. In fact, the only way to get it back in is to put him back upright and push this back into his mouth. And then he's ready to be activated again. You'll also see, too, when I tip this forward, is the only time it lights up and makes sound effects. I like the sound effects end of it, but I just wish there was a way to get the sound effects and the fire without having to operate, oh, there goes his leg, without having to operate the gimmick every single time you want to get it to work. And as you can see, the leg snaps in quite easily. I just wish there was a way to operate. I wish there was like a button, or at least going back to this tail, I wish there was a way to swing the tail or something that this mouth could light up and make the sound effect without it shooting that very long projectile. It's fun, but sometimes if you're just going to want to have something like this on display, you don't want to have it shooting out a projectile every single time you want a sound effect and a light up, which I think is the only one criticism I have about the piece. It's not a spectacular piece, and I would say, you know, it could have used a little more articulation. But Bandai is clearly gearing, I think, this line towards more just something that kids can pick up and play with. I think this piece was about $40, $45. It's a more expensive piece. I could say it's probably just due to the size of it. It could easily have been a cheaper piece, though. But what really kills it for me, though, is I like the sound effects. I like the light up features. I just wish that I didn't have to do this all the time to get it to go. Because if you leave it, it just looks kind of silly that Godzilla's got this big piece of plastic sticking out of his mouth. If you are a fan of Godzilla, though, and you are looking for, see, you can kind of just keep shooting that, pushing it in and out to get him to, to make sound effects. If you are looking, though, for a Godzilla piece and you're not quite sure which one you would want to go with, I think on a scale level, just the fact that it's a large piece, this is a good one to go with. I don't really think the gimmick is fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, but as a Godzilla piece, something that just sits on a desk and you want something that's large, I think this is a good piece to go with. The only thing that's killing it slightly for it is the price. At the price that they're asking for this particular Godzilla, it's a little too much. I think it could have easily been a little bit less of a cost. And likely a lot of that is being eaten up by the fact that it has that gimmick. So if you are looking for a good Godzilla toy, and you can probably get this one on sale at some point, I would probably go with this particular piece of the Godzilla pieces that we've seen so far. Today's toy spot, we were having a look at the new Godzilla toys from Bandai. This was Atomic Roar Godzilla. Let me know down below, guys, what you think of this particular piece, and certainly stay tuned. Spot's going to have more toy spots heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.